MotoGP leaves the Indonesia Grand Prix weekend and makes its way down under. Welcome to Phillip Island as MotoGP heads to this wonderful circuit for round 19 of the championship. The green light's about to go on. Let's head downstairs to our commentary team and join the wonderful lot at TNT Sports, as we've got a little bit of an issue up here in our commentary box at the moment in terms of bringing you the action that way. Green light's on, let's head down over there.
Yeah, he's on such form, and Alex is back. He's not quite at his best. I think his best was maybe the Catalunya as part of the season, but yeah, he'll be having his eyes set on firmly securing second spot in the title race, so he'd be wanting to, without his brother on the grid, but want to be stealing a march on the opposition here this weekend. And it's a track he's always gone well at over the years, Alex Marquez.
It's something he can seal this weekend, to be second in the championship, and not having Mark here, not having Jorge Martin as a master around here as well, and Maverick Vinales, it does open it up. It is open, isn't it, when you could back up one of probably 8 riders to be on the podium here, or even more perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, whenever we come to Phillip Island it feels like a leveller, and we've had some classic races over the years and big groups battling at the front, but with the names you've just mentioned that aren't here this weekend, then you've got Marco Bezzecchi with a double long lap penalty. That'll be in the main race on Sunday. You'd have to feel like that would rule him out of the chance of victory, and then it really opens it up completely. And like Michael said, for me, this man's going to start as favourite, which is bizarre. I'm even saying it for me in Aldeguer, but he loves his track. He's really good on saving his tyre, which it's always a bit of an issue around this circuit. So, but this man should be fast this weekend.
He should be, and it should suit the Yamaha in the fact that it's a sort of flowing track. But he's never really got the results around here, has he, Fabio?
No, it's not quite worked for him. But I think of, even though they are very different, when I say Silverstone, if you think, obviously, Quartararo almost won around there. In fact, he should have won the race, apart from the mechanical issue with the motorcycle. So, open corners, that's what this has got. Cool temperatures, we're going to have that all weekend. So, I'd have to feel like it should work for him this weekend.
Yeah, you feel like it should too. And let's throw Alex Rins in, because we saw him pop up last time out. I'm not being rude, but we haven't really seen much from him all season, and then suddenly in Indonesia he looked like a different rider again.
He did, yeah, good to see. And to remember him the last visit here on Suzuki, he was dominant around here. He does love Phillip Island, and yeah, so nice to see Rins back on the pace. He did put a lot of that down to the grip and the heat-treated tyre that we had in Lombok, but yeah, fingers crossed the peculiar nature of the Phillip Island circuit brings Alex Rins back into the mix as well.
Well, he's had a win around here. There's not many riders on the circuit that have had a win. In fact, only 2 actually in MotoGP, with Johan Zarco, with the weather as well, and there's someone you can throw into the mix. If we look at the track here, Pedro Acosta, yeah, you feel like with the tyre scenario and having to save tyres, it's not a speciality for KTM this season, but can he be the rider that could make the difference?
Yes, absolutely. Really impressive last time out. He's on a good run of form, and also he's got the extra motivation because he's seen his nemesis, his main young rival throughout his career, sort of get the first MotoGP victory. I think Pedro thought he was going to be the first to achieve that, but for me, Aldeguer's sort of robbed that from him. So he will want to. I mean, you can't try any harder than 100%. We've had this discussion many a time, but sometimes you can deep down inside find something, and I feel like Pedro Acosta this weekend is going to literally throw the kitchen sink at it.
Yeah, his fellow Mercian, Fermin Aldeguer, taking that win last time out in Indonesia, the second youngest rider to take a victory in MotoGP. It was a brilliant win, and it was tremendous. They were both asked in the press conference actually about their relationship, because they grew up being friends and then it cooled off a little bit, and I felt that they answered that question in a really good way, almost in the way it deserved to be, that they were rivals now, and you can't really be friends. It's hard to have friends in this paddock, but there's a lot of respect between the two of them, Michael.
Yeah, without a doubt, and it is tough, even when you look at what actually astounds me a little bit is the Pecco Bagnaia Marc Marquez relationship, because it's hard when you're rivals, it's hard when you're teammates to be friends, but they genuinely seem to have a it looks like it's a genuine friendship, and they have a good harmony between the two. But yeah, I think Aldeguer and Acosta, being young, fiery, they're at very different stages of their careers than Pecco and Mark. But yeah, right now it's difficult for them to be buddies. We're going to be rivals. Oh, that is not the sensation that we wanted to see.
It's unbelievable, isn't it, really?
We don't want to see that.
That's like... I mean, he's done 2 laps. Like, to go out and do just 2 flying laps and come in and already be basically saying, look, the bike's unrideable. Well, interesting that obviously they've got 2 bikes. You'd assume one's going to be set. They'll be set very different. So, but that is not what we want to see.
What's going to be fascinating is to see what this man can do, Michele Pirro, who's coming in as the test rider, cold. He hasn't raced for ages. And just to, I suppose one question is, although they probably have their bikes set very differently, Mark and Pecco, how much will a miss Mark be in terms of what Ducati are learning each session about the data of the bike?
It's tricky. Look at, there is the nervousness from... This was the comment all weekend in Lombok, but yeah, that onboard shot just shows a bike oscillating on a weird frequency that...
Yeah. Like, if you didn't know, Michael, you'd go, something's bent.
Yeah.
I know that sounds like... Really, like
it doesn't look good.
There, like,
it doesn't.
You know,
Yellow flag's out sector 1.
You get something catching on your handlebars, or you have an issue with your steering damper, it can really upset the bike, and that could happen after a crash. You'd pick your bike up and you'd ride round, and you'd feel that sensation, or you'd have a big crash, your mechanics would repair your bike, and you'd go out the next session, you'd go, hey up, we've got the first cold tyre crash. Is that turn 1?
Yeah, you do not want to crash there.
Morbidelli down in the first corner.
I'll tell you what, I'm pleased to see him walking.
That's a biggie.
It's like your worst nightmare.
So it's downhill, it's mid-corner. The front's going to tip away from him. Yeah. That's
he's on the throttle.
Just well
through the corner there, and it is slightly banked. He's wide, he's offline on the dirty part of the track, and just tucked the front on the throttle.
So yeah, but the sensation you saw, that's sometimes you can get that, and that basically that's a mechanical issue. But to see a bike that shouldn't have a mechanical issue, I mean, they'll have gone over that bike with a fine tooth comb. They'll have checked every basic element of what I've just tried to explain. So, what could that be, Michael? What could cause that? Genuinely, I can't.
The only thing I can think of is the mass damper being out of tune. You know, it's not something that we know how it works, but it's tunable. It adjusts according to the lean angle of the rider. But it looks that strange. It looks like the nervousness in the chassis. But the fact that he's got 2 bikes means you jump on the other one. If it's doing the same, then it is a worry, because it's something fundamental. It's not a bent part, as you mentioned, which can happen. Something that is a hangover from a crash that has been missed on the rebuild process. But yeah, it looks very, very strange.
Let's just get stuck into this story a little bit with Ducati, because all sorts of different stories over the last few rounds have come out of the garage and have come out of different garages. There's been clearly a lot of meetings being held. There have been lines to be taken. Even Pecco's at the point of saying, I'm just telling you what I've been told to say. We are in a really extraordinary situation here, where Pecco's very lost on that bike, because to go from what happened in Motegi to Mandalika to what we're seeing now this weekend, and he said yesterday, I will know in the first 2 laps what sort of bike I've got. Now, prior to the last race, a selection of journalists were called in to Ducati to talk, including Matt Oxley, and he's written an article about what he was told. I read it, I didn't get it, I don't understand it, because it was talking about the ride height device being a primary issue. Could you just put some meat on the bones there for us, please?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it is, I think Gigi Dall'Igna wanted to then control the narrative, because if you say nothing, journalists have a job to do.
Well, they'll fill the gap.
Absolutely, and that is their job, isn't it? You know, every week you've got to fill your podcast, you've got to fill your columns and articles, etc. So I think, and rightly so, I think Gigi thought, let's try and get a bit of a handle on this. Obviously, everyone's going to speculate, so Gigi's basically explained the fundamental changes between the 24 bike and the 25 bike, and mainly being the ride-out device, which is sort of new anyway. My scepticism in it is, guess what? Gigi Dall'Igna is going to speak to you to tell you the information he wants to tell you. What percentage of that is truthful? Who knows? You know. So I read a little bit of it I read all of it with a pinch of salt, because obviously
I think
GG's controlling what he's telling you.
and also perhaps a little of the trust has been eroded in that, you know, we were told categorically that he tested Franco Morbidelli's bike in the test, which made sense to all of us. We're like, well, you would do that, because if you've been going on about wanting the feeling of the 24, go and test the 24. So he did that, and then that information was taken away, and they were trying to say, no, he didn't, he didn't do that, which created a story that wasn't there in the first place.
Exactly. Imagine, we were told, no, he definitely did not test that bike. There's one man I think would know if he tested that bike or not, and that's the team managers, Ucho Salucci, who told us that he tested the bike. So there you go. So then, when a group of journalists were called in to see GG Dillinger, just so that he could explain everything clearly. Yeah, it's just that's been that narrative, that that's the line from Ducati. But we'll find out the truth in a couple of years' time. We'll eventually find it out. In a year's time, we'll find out the truth of what has gone on. But in all this season, one thing I will add is this rider's confidence must be affected, but still, if the bike gives him the sensation he needs, he can win, as he did two rounds ago. So
well, he goes in as the favourite and the least favourite of this race. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
And it's a situation that we've seen over the years with factories. When they bring out a bike, they don't want to think that the previous bike was better in any sense. They want to think everything's moved forward. We understand that, but we've seen over the years, Yamaha have done it, they've gone back, and they don't want anybody to know that they're going back. And it's a pride thing, I suppose, and that's the situation that it seems that we're in here with Ducati. It's absolutely fascinating. Paul Espargaro on screen here, standing in for Mav, who's Maverick's recovering obviously from his shoulder injury, not dissimilar really to what Mark's undergone with ligaments and a small fracture with the 16-week period. How big a deal is it to come in when you haven't ridden for a while to Phillip Island and ride the bike?
Yeah, it's tough. This session, free practice one for Paul will be eyes on stalks, and he'll be puffing and panting. He'll be breathing heavy because it's a lot to take in. So, I mean, obviously it's Paul. He's got a lot of experience, but still, yeah, to jump in the deep end around here will take some getting your head around. He'll be just pleased it's dry. Look at it, it's wobbling. It's all over the shop. Come on, stay on board. Let's have a look what it looks like through turn one.
And all the time this is happening, the confidence gets more and more eroded, doesn't it?
Yeah, that is the word. It gets eroded. You can see it chipping away throughout the season. He did lose confidence in the bike, and then again at Mandalika with the heat-treated rear tyre, it just seemed like it was gone again after a sensational weekend in Motegi. But yeah, 8/10s down. You can see how tentative he was into turn one.
Yeah,
just very circumspect. More so, I think, tyre temperature than actual bike. He's a thinking rider. Pecco, he will build into it rather than throwing caution to the wind for no gain at this moment. But let's see up through the hay shade. This is the moment where the bike started to twitch last time around. So you exit Siberia, click up the box. Looks a little bit more normal through there this time around, Neil.
Yeah, look, it does. I was speaking to David Emma after the last race, one of the really experienced journalists in this paddock, and he said he'd gone back and watched. He can watch, I think, the onboard from Pecco's race in Mandalika, and he said, "You cannot believe how bad the bike looked. It wasn't Pecco. The bike was shaking a lot. He was struggling to get the bike stopped, and then all of a sudden he crashed." So.
Yeah, and it was honestly horrendous. We've got our TV pictures back. Good morning, everybody. Hello, welcome to Australia. Here we go then. What a weekend we've got lined up here for MotoGP. Let's very quickly highlight what the team have been saying. One, for some reason as well, the graphics aren't working for some reason, so let's get that sorted. One, we do not have, sadly, any of Marc Marquez. He's not here this weekend. Mikel Pirro is in for him, and this weekend is wide open. Anybody can get it. Bezzecchi's got a penalty for that contact. So it's all eyes on Quartararo to see if he can do it. But welcome to Phillip Island, where the weather's been unpredictable so far this morning. We had rain in the Moto 3, dried out in Moto 2. Now, another coastal circuit's blowing the wind in. We're in for quite an unpredictable hour. So good morning, everybody.
If he starts the season 100% fit, we don't want dominance from one manufacturer, do we? And the concessions have worked really well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that Mark's really been the only rider that's been able to ride that 25 Ducati. Everybody struggled with it, apart from Mark, who probably has struggled with it, but has this innate quality of being able to ride around anything.
Yeah, that Pecco's obviously levelled that at Mark's store as well. That Pecco needs a front feeling that he understands what the bike is going to do before it does it, whereas Mark has a way of riding through that, as we've seen in his years at Honda. Pecco, like that lap there, he chipped away, took 4/10 off in sector 1. He just slowly built into it, make sure the bike's talking to him, and then gives him the confidence, whereas Mark will just throw everything at it first lap out of the pits. It's a very different approach, and Mark's made the GP25 work, but arguably there will be some work to do over the winter to put the best pieces of the 24 bike and 25 together for a 26 machine. But they have, obviously they've lost Pirro, not been able to test too much with the concessions allowing all the other manufacturers. It's nice in a way for Pirro to be back on the grid because he can't wildcard. There's no allowance for Ducati to wildcard with their factory rider anymore, and it's certainly worked. It's brought Aprilia closer, Honda closer, Yamaha coming forward with their V4 as well. Everyone's stealing a little bit of what Ducati have in terms of their advantage over recent years. It's leveled the playing field ahead of the big shift that we will have for the 850 era.
Yep, the 850 era, by the way, where many people have been reporting in the press saying, oh, Liberty Media want to get rid of the factory, get rid of the satellite bikes, they want to all be factories. That has to be the case. Everybody will be on a factory bike for 2027 because that's the rules, because it's a brand new regulation. Everyone will be on 850cc bikes for the first year.
He will work really good around this track. He has got that double long lap penalty for Sunday. But don't you feel like Bezzecchi has the ability, with the people we mentioned that aren't going to be here, and especially if Bagnaia is having a bad weekend, Bezzecchi has got the ability to check out, do a long lap penalty, get back in the pack, get to the front, do the next one. He has that is possible. It's a short long lap penalty round here. It's down at the Miller hairpin. Not too bad. So he'll be working, obviously, like everybody does. He'll be working at this point in his weekend to try and stretch it as much, or have as much of an advantage, so that he's still got a chance of winning even with that penalty.
He's got a double long lap, by the way, because it's his second offence this year. Otherwise, he would have had just the one long lap penalty, which, well, I'm not sure that he particularly agrees with the penalty. Well, you wouldn't, would you, really, if you were the rider? But he did everything right afterwards, apologised straight away. You could see how sincere he was, and sorry to Mark, etc. And Mark said, let's not have anybody calling out Bez. Yeah. It's just a racing incident.
It was a racing incident. Yeah, it was a racing incident. I think people got confused because I analysed the crash afterwards, and because I said, look, it's a racing incident. But it was a racing incident, but it was caused by Bez. It was just one of those first lap things that happened, but he hasn't done it intentionally. Of course he's not, because he took himself down. And yes, of course he deserved a penalty. It was just to clear that one up. But I weren't saying he didn't deserve a penalty because it's a racing incident. That's just, it was. But I was trying to explain how he ended up in that situation. So yeah, obviously it was a mess. It was a fast crash. I tell you, like I say, Bezzecchi went down really hard. Mark was so unlucky because of where he was unlucky is the fact that there was that step to the gravel. So on the edge of the track, there was a bit of a drop before you got into the gravel, and that just ended up kicking Mark's body over and obviously damaging his collarbone.
Yeah, and it was the it got a fracture to the shoulder, basically, did a tiny fracture, and the acromioclavicular ligaments.
Yeah,
Michael.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Michael.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. But he did have to have surgery on the coracoid, which is obviously that's the integral part of the shoulder where the ligaments are essentially anchored from, and it can create a lot of lingering shoulder problems. But it sounds like it's clean, and the surgery has been a success. So Yeah, the coracoid process is so important to the shoulder. So it's one that has.
Is it the one that pops up? Where you see
the one in the front, almost.
Yeah, the one like it's like the end of your collarbone separates from your shoulder.
Yeah,
that one. Like, Alex has had that. Lowe's and Sam. I know they've had the small operation to fix it, and it's a long-winded affair.
12 weeks, did you say, or 16?
16.
16 weeks.
It's supposed to be 16, and then if you even halve that for Mark, still that's way beyond the end of the season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Mark in the winter when he decides to. We don't know anything for sure. We're still waiting. We'll probably know a little bit more perhaps next weekend.
The big one is obviously Mark's won the championship, and
timing was good, wasn't it?
Timing could have been better, but he'll be really mindful of because testing is so limited in MotoGP. The test after the Valencia race is key. Because that it's pretty much your most important test, because what happens, you do the test then, and then the next time you test is it like February time when you're in Malaysia. So you are testing the 26 bike properly for the first time. So your feedback is key, and he obviously he'll want his input, his DNA on that bike. Even though we know already, obviously all his comments throughout the year will have steered whatever those changes are to that bike, but he needs to be the rider to test it, especially if this man's in the doldrums, his teammate.
But he also knows when you come back too soon, what can happen. So
and a cold Valencia turning up just for the test has got mistake written all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's got you know better written all over it. So stay at home and trim your bonsai tree.
That wasn't a euphemism.
I mean, at this time in the morning, I think we're allowed a bush trimming euphemism, aren't
Whoa, Susie Perry.
There we go. Someone's.
Acosta's getting squiggly.
Meanwhile, off the track.
Casey Stoner's arrived.
Wow, that's a shot.
That is the Stoner corner, by the way, and if you want to know, he's doing that on purpose, because that's what Casey did every lap, and it helps turn the bike, and it means that when you get in the braking zone, you can get the bike a little bit more upright. Not good for tyre life, but good fun.
A lot of fun in
effective for a long
Stoner.
time.
Yeah.
There's a man who's not shy, and he ain't bothered about trimming any bonsai bushes.
How do you
Trees.
know?
Oh dear, Susie Perry's got a bit flirty this morning.
It's definitely a Pedro Acosta weekend.
Well, it might be a Brad Bender weekend if you have a look, because this is not a man who's a Friday man, and he's top of the timesheets currently.
Yeah, only 0.9 off the race lap record as well. I'm so happy to see Brad top of the timesheets at this stage of the weekend, because we just don't ever see him arrive on a Friday morning. So obviously the KTM's working. He looked good. We've seen some shots of him catching Marini. He just looked comfortable, confident. The KTM's talking to him in these cold conditions. He's getting feedback from the tyres, and that's what he needs. So yeah, it'll be good to see a Binder weekend. He's due one.
Got a good mix at the top end at the moment currently, which is really good to see. We thought it would be like that. Early days, of course it's early days, but seeing Didier up there, Fabio Quartararo in fourth. Jack Miller, big weekend for him this weekend, always obviously being at home, but you know, he would really like to get that Yamaha performing around here.
Yeah. I mean, Jack's up. He always goes well at his home race. Even in his first year in MotoGP on the Honda, the Mark VDS Honda, he was.
Unless you name a corner after him,
and then it all goes wrong. Yeah, that's this man. He was the man who was involved in the incident when they unfortunately named turn 4 the Miller corner, and then in the first race, Alex Marquez took Jack Miller out on that corner, so that was far from ideal. But yeah. Jack will, of course, want to get a good result here. So, I say it was decent last time out, was Jack in Indonesia. So let's hope it's a bit of a leveler like it normally is around here.
Look at that, spectacular shots. I mean, this circuit really is a gem, isn't it? And to hear that the contract's up at the end of next year, and rumours about racing in different places, it's just sacrilege to me. I can't believe that we could ever leave this track. What I would like to see is us come earlier in the season, and the whole story, which we accept year in year. We have this conversation every year. The weather's awful. There's already been a bit of talk this weekend that perhaps we might have to have the main race tomorrow because of the gusting winds coming on Sunday. Why don't we just come here in March or April? Oh, because Formula One are in Albert Park. Well, so what? You still have the World Superbike here, and you can only fit 30,000, 40,000 people anyway. So what's the difference between having the Superbike, sorry, if we pulled rank on them, and we came earlier in the season, and then we wouldn't have these gusting winds and these incredible weather conditions that just play havoc with the schedule on the weekend.
Yeah, you feel sorry for everyone concerned. The infrastructure of the track, the camping and parking, and like I said, this is the biggest event for Phillip Island every year. Is the MotoGP weekend. It is often flooded, and like I say, having to race on different days because of the tricky weather conditions. So yeah, I couldn't agree more, Susie. Could not agree more.
I don't know if it's something to do with the amount of manpower that's involved or what. I've got no idea, but I do wish that they could come to some sort of conclusion. Because it's the same as when people talk about going to Donington. And we were having this conversation this morning, Neil, in the car. This place is, in terms of infrastructure, is worse than Donington.
Way smaller.
And we come here.
Yeah, absolutely, way smaller. So we were talking about the potential of having a MotoGP race back at Donington, and it's been a conversation actually for the last 5 years, and people say, oh no, Donington's too small, or pit lane's too small, or the garages aren't big enough. It's like, well,
Donny's brilliant.
Everything's smaller here. Pit lane's shorter and narrower, and there are fewer garages here, and they are smaller garages. So if you can fit a MotoGP race here, you can definitely do one at Donington.
I agree.
The conversations roll on. Meanwhile, some pretty fast laps going out there, Michael.
Yeah, impressive from Alex. He's got one sector remaining. It's going to knock it out of the park here, almost half a second under the time set from Binder. Alex with a similar tyre combination, soft front, medium rear. We talked at the start of the session who's going to assert the dominance on the class in the absence of Mark. And it could well be Alex. Yeah, 28.3, that's impressive. 6/10 off the race lap record already. In a cool morning, following rain here, so the track's not too rubbered in at this point. Impressive.
Just holding it all together at the moment with 18 minutes to go.
Gang without their world champion Jorge Martin, but still,
what a title defence it hasn't been.
I know.
Isn't it a sad story?
Yeah.
After what a fantastic season last year for Jorge Martin, and what
fantastic 2 seasons of Jorge Martin on a personal note, really. I think with those battles to the end, and then winning out last year, and then this just being a season to absolutely forget for the young Spaniard. Such a shame.
Yeah, it's such a shame. I feel so sorry for him.
Yeah, me too. Diogo Moreira coming up next year, finally been announced. Of course, we've talked about it for about 6 months, but what a talent he is. And, you know, you hear the same thing that we heard about Aldeguer, winner last time out. Oh, is he ready? Is it a year too soon? Can you just tell us from perhaps a team management point of view, from a factory point of view, what you're looking for in terms of a rider to move into MotoGP? Why you think, you know, Fabio Quartararo was signed, Fermin Aldeguer was signed, Diogo Moreira?
Yeah, it's funny. Diogo, there's been a lot of talk around him. I'm going to say for the past 3 or 4 years, even whilst he was a Moto3 rider, everybody said, give this kid more power, he'll be really impressive. And we've seen what he's done in just 2 years in the Moto2 class. Obviously, he's fighting for the World Championship this year. Arguably, you could say he's favourite to win it now, and now he's only 9 points behind.
Yeah, he's got the momentum now. Really,
yeah, the momentum's on his side, winning the last time out. He's a super talented kid. He's an incredibly fast motocross rider, dirt tracker, supermoto, and we're talking world championship level at all those disciplines. And the way he rides, his riding style, his obvious throttle control, let's say the short period of time he's mastered a Moto2 bike, it's made him real hot property. I think a small percentage also helps his Brazilian, so it's a huge market. The South American market is huge, but forget about that. The kids.
It's merit that he's been signed on, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got the X factor. He has got that X factor. So I think any of the so-called expert I've spoken to in the paddock all seem to agree that he seems like the real deal, and he's going to be very, very fast straight away and entertaining to watch.
And the eyes have been on him in the same way that the eyes are now on Max Keyless.
Yeah. The Keyless is a little bit different in that he's been a prodigious talent from his Red Bull rookies days, obviously showing speed and determination and aggression in races, whereas Diogo was always touted as being a talent, but won a single solitary win in Moto3 Grand Prix, then come into Moto2. Arguably he's in title contention now, but it's been a slow burn. He's not been from his younger years with so much fanfare, but he's matured, he's developed, and now at this point he looks the class of the field of Moto2. But you wouldn't have said that coming into this season. It's a shrewd signing by Honda. I think it's a very good move, and Hodgie was talking about it earlier, but Gav's comments of likening it to the Casey Stoner move to LCR. It could be a nice fit, and yeah, I think he's going to be such a talent inside the garage alongside Johan Zarco next year.
And I think interestingly, it's a 3-year deal. It's a long deal.
Yeah. I think that it works for both parties. I think Honda, understandably, you don't want to give a rider an opportunity for a couple of learning years and then they get poached by somebody else. You know, if you're Honda, you're investing in a younger talent. So they want to make sure that they can keep their ass in for 3 years. And also, if you are a young rider like Pereira, you want the security of having a 3-year deal, especially now the timing's right with Honda. I mean, 3 years ago, it'd have been a long 3 years for Pereira, but you feel like he's signing timing is everything in a young rider's career, and it just feels right.
This is better for Pecco, by the way, that we're looking at here.
Yeah.
But in terms of timing, just let me take that word and just weave it into the season and the next few rounds. Although the championship's done and everything, there are contracts to be signed, obviously, next year that will run out. They will be signed early next season, and this is the period of the season that will remain in the minds of the guys doing the signings, really. So how vital are these, next 2, 3, 4 rounds for riders to get in there? Because if you don't get in there, you're picking up scraps.
Exactly. What's going to happen? I think the dominoes are going to fall really early next year. I think Mark will sign early. I think Ducati will want Mark to sign early. He's the kingpin, and then there's going to be a really quick knock-on effect. And because the majority of riders' contracts are up, that knock-on effect's going to be quick. Are Yamaha going to try and go big again with Quartararo? Is he going to want to jump ship?
Pedro
Acosta, massive, like your main stars.
Should he stay or should he go?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'd be saying go, and I'm sure him and his management will have already had this discussion many times. So yeah, to underline what you've said, then it puts a lot of emphasis on these next 4 rounds of ending the season really strong. So you're in a strong position. So like you've said, the line is, and it's true, you're not picking up the scraps. You're controlling the negotiations. In fact, you're controlling your own destiny. It's really key.
Because I think it's easy to say, oh, well, the championship's done, what's everybody riding for? It's independent teams championships, which fans don't really care that much about. Of course, the teams do. It's pivotal for them. But from a fan's perspective, it is something else to think about, isn't it? And obviously for the riders, they're always giving 100%. I'm not saying that anyone gives less than that, but this is real prime time for them.
Yeah, certainly there's a lot of changes going on in MotoGP with the Yamaha switching to V4, the Honda coming forward, Johan Zarco up into 3rd now, right in touch. Everyone's working towards their 26 model bike. The factories are all working towards their 27 bike. There's a lot of emphasis on these last few rounds on steering what will be the basis of the new package. This is good for Pecco. Those 2 laps in succession there just look better, getting faster, chipping away at it, confidence inspiring, up in the top 6, 0.3 of a second off. When he was in his championship winning season, sometimes Friday morning he wouldn't have been that close. So yeah, an important session for him, and it looks like he's getting the feedback from his GP25 Ducati. Likewise, Digi's in the mix there, so the 25 bike seems to be working here okay so far.
No, that's the 24. He went out on the 25 at first, did a few laps on that.
That was the shaking Stevens one.
Do you know when you were talking about their relationship before?
Breaking news, sorry to come across. Breaking news from Aprilia. Dear media, we want to inform you that Jorge Martin will also miss the Malaysia Grand Prix to focus on his ongoing recovery. That's coming in from Aprilia and also from Simon Patterson on Twitter. So thank you, Simon, as well, our friend and colleague over there in the paddock. Good morning, Simon. Morning, Maddie, if you're watching. So Jorge Martin is not going to be with us in Malaysia. Diego Moreira moving up, though, into MotoGP in 2026. Rumours is going to have Pele's number 10, which is going to be quite an interesting one to come into it. But let's head back downstairs to our colleagues.
Well, it's slightly awkward, but not. But he was well in with it. I mean, he was such fun all night. You know, he was singing karaoke, and it was fantastic fun. And obviously he'd had a great race, and you know, he was in a good spot at that point.
Yeah, and then that song comes on, and you're like,
oh yeah, not this year.
And you just slowly moonwalk off the dance floor, and you're going like, well, just yeah.
And me and Alana, our producer, as a sort of mom thing came out, we wanted to go like, oh, but you know, you're a double world champion as well. But of course, you know, we didn't get involved. But the respect is massive between the two of them.
Yeah,
it's important to say that.
Yeah, it is important to say it. And let's say we start the season unsure how that relationship was going to work. I'm going to say I thought there'd be quite a lot of animosity. I thought it's going to be oil and water. They are definitely not going to get on. But they've gotten all right. They have gotten all right, haven't they? Despite...
Well, you're not going to stand in a bar on a Sunday night in Japan if you don't get on with your teammate, because you hate each other. We've seen it. They're nowhere near each other. I mean, you've also hated teammates in the past.
Yeah.
You wouldn't go into the same bar, would you?
Yeah, I've had teammates I've not got on with, and you'd be like, absolutely. You'd find out if they were going to the bar like you were planning on going, you'd be like, well, we'll go somewhere else. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, I think it clearly underlined what we thought we'd seen in the paddock throughout the year, that Mark and Pecco appear to get on okay. And, yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a mutual respect, but Pecco's a lovely individual.
So lovely.
Yeah.
You can't imagine him actually being horrible to anybody,
exactly.
can you ever?
Yeah.
Is there a book coming here?
No, I've just said it's probably to his detriment in some ways, because does he have that killer that Mark has in him? Has Mark controlled the garage a little bit and used Pecco's amicable nature to his benefit? I'm just, you know, putting scenarios out there. I think Mark has that X factor. He has that ruthless edge that he's a smiling assassin. He could be smiling to your face and sticking the knife in around the back. But yeah, I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying he's certainly the world champion.
Are you insinuating that Mark might have ever so slightly manipulated the situation?
I am, indeed.
And he may have done it before as well. Is that what do you mean? Listen, any cost, right?
Any cost, and that's what we're talking about.
You're here to race and become a world champion, so whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
And Valentino was the same. In fact, all world champions are pretty much the same.
Newman was the same.
100%.
Yeah, you know, his men would have died for him.
Yeah.
You know, his crew would have died for him, and that's what a rider manages to do. They end up obviously manipulating the team around them, and it is a family, and it is us against them. That's how it is.
I was hearing some stories because we got interrupted earlier, but I spent a couple of days with Alex and Ellen Briggs, and obviously Alex used to be Mick Doohan's mechanic and Valentino, so I was hearing plenty of anecdotes.
He must have some stories
that I cannot share, even at this time of night.
Can you share any? Is there on like a soundbite? Or not? That's all right.
Well, there probably is, but
yeah.
Brilliant days though, and actually the reason why we started to talk about that, because I was telling him, you know, what fun it was on the Sunday night. I said it was like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You know, it was like the Rossi days, the Mick Doohan days, those sort of parties, which you just don't get anymore.
Swans days.
I wasn't there in the Swans days, but yes, I'm sure it was even more then. I'm just from the stories that I've heard. Anyway, it's nice that people can let their hair down a little bit.
Let's say it's nice to think that, let's say, the serious and the amount of races and everything involved hasn't taken the essence of
they're not robots.
The rawness of the beauty of our sport. It used to always be race hard, party hard.
Yeah.
That's how it used to always be. Obviously, it's become a little bit less like that, but it still shows that it goes on. It's funny. Sorry, Susie. We talked about Sunday night in Japan. What will Mark do oh, will it be partying? No, there'll be a big party. Obviously, we talked about it in checking flag. And I remember when we were talking about it, I'm thinking, he won't be partying because they're in Mandalika. Like, he'll be flying tomorrow, and then he'll be getting there and it's hot. And I genuinely thought they wouldn't be partying. So I'm pleased that they were. You know, like, because...
I'm not saying that they were drinking or anything like that. Because I don't know, honestly, I don't know whether they were. It was incredible when he got on stage, the energy just went through the roof. And obviously he was just genuinely excited that he'd won the World Championship and the comeback and everything else. All the mechanics were definitely partying hard.
Yeah. You weren't, I know you weren't, Susie.
I couldn't even get to the bar.
Susie,
I was just taking drinks off people that were standing next to me.
You've been bar shy since I've met you. Literally. I'll tell you what, one of these days I'm going to introduce you to the bar. Come on, mate. Here, Susie, this is a bar, you know.
You've got some nerve.
This is where you buy the drinks. You know,
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say, who was running the bar in Mandalika and doing the DJing?
Susie.
That's right, it was me. You can't remember because you were too drunk. This is like a fever dream. Let's get back on track.
Wow.
You went off on a tangent there.
A little bit.
Who's winning?
Alex Marquez is winning. Pedro Acosta, Joan Zarco on the podium so far. It is the mix that we talked about, Michael, isn't it?
Yeah, a proper mix back at the top of the order with a GP24 Ducati, a KTM and a Honda, then closely followed by an Aprilia. Yeah, the top four different manufacturers. It's exactly what we love to see about MotoGP in this 2025 season, which has had a few twists and turns in terms of what is the bike to be on. And you've got to say, when you watch this machine of Marco Bezzecchi, it looks more settled, more stable, more planted, turns better. It just looks the all-round package at the moment. And he looks the all-round rider on it. It's good to see the smaller of the Italian manufacturers between Ducati and Aprilia, but Aprilia are a common force, and we hope to see Martin return and he and Bezzecchi be a real strong contention for the championship honours next season.
Can't wait to see them next year. If only they can have two bikes running and getting that double data. Pecco on a better lap again here. This is great to see, isn't it, Neil?
Yeah, really good. And it does make you wonder if they just literally did the real basic of back-to-back. Started that first outing was, this is how the essentially the bike you finished on in Indonesia, that's the base setting we thought would work, that obviously clearly didn't. And as we saw, it did those couple of laps back with shaking coming. You saw them, they're already prepping the second bike, and this is more of a, let's say, whatever setting they have come up with. But this is how it should look: fast, consistent, smooth, in control on the pace.
Alex Rins in the 11th, Michael, backing up last time out, turned a corner maybe.
Seems so. Yeah, right in touch with Jack Miller. A little bit off Fabio. He is the pace setter in terms of the Yamaha contenders at the moment. But yeah, they're in touch all within a second. And yeah, I'd love to see Rins keep the current run of form. That Lombok weekend is exactly what he needed. It has been a tough season where physically he's struggling. You see him walking off the bike, he's always carrying a little bit of a limp, not been as confident on the machine or as strong and capable as we've seen from him in the past. So yeah, it's coming at the right time when there were a lot of questions asked over his bumping on that seat next year, when obviously Miguel Oliveira has been let go and moved on towards Superbike, but Rins now finally finding his way at Yamaha.
Oh, hello. That's a Honda
I'm
down.
not sure if this is a crash or a technical.
It's yellow flag, set to one, and it's Wagner.
Can't tell if it's the outside of turn one or not.
It's down the first corner, he's running deep. It's a bike failure, because it's smoking, looks like it. Yeah, it's blown up.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Mia's bike has blown up on the run down towards the first corner, and I would not, well, we've only got a minute left, but there's a lot of oil down there. Wouldn't be surprised if we might see an early end to this one with a red flag. It is blown up, and that Honda's let go. Well, we're getting towards the end of the season now. This is round 19, and we're seeing the bike start to explode a little bit. Wow. Listen in. Bang.
Held his breath as well, because at that, you don't know if it's literally spewing oil over your back tyre, do you, Michael?
No.
When it makes that horrible noise and you're like clutch in, you sort of hold your breath, don't you? as you're heading towards the gravel, thinking, I don't want to sort of like
Don't want to lean over here.
Lean over here, otherwise this is going to be painful.
That's a sad end to that session for Jaromir. The factory Honda boys having a much better time of it of late, Michael.
Yeah, Joanna inside the top 10 here. Half a second off. Zarco, the top Honda runner in 5th, only 3/10 away. So, yeah, good start to proceedings once again. Luca Marini 14th, 7/10 adrift. Chandra's got a lot closer, though this session isn't fantastic, but he had a good weekend in Motegi and once again in Mandalika. So all the 4 Honda contenders looking stronger.
Oil flags are out.
Shout out to Paul Espargaro coming in to replace Maverick. Gets a 14th spot so far. That's
0.7 of a second off.
very good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really quick. I mean, I think he impressed us last time when he came in as well. He had a brilliant performance and was still really quick. But to get the call late on, I think he was over in New York. It was all a bit of a, get yourself over here.
Yeah, quick thing.
And I think that's part of the reason Paul has re-signed at KTM. He wants to be on call, he wants to be racing. He's looked at the option of going towards Superbike to be a full-time racer again, but certainly KTM managed to convince him to...
Oh, touch, that's Alex Marquez being touched by...
I know Miguel's travelling a little bit slower than him into turn 1.
Yeah, Miguel's obviously backed out of it in turn 1 because you're expecting the rider in front to accelerate away from you. I mean, that was really close.
Aldeguer
Bizarre day as the flag comes out.
On this vein of form. This is exactly what Frankie told us was the turnaround for him, being able to start strong on a Friday, get those time attacks in, being able to get through to Q2, and that just changes the whole complexion of your weekend. Exactly what they wanted to do today.
Tremendous session for Aldeguer. Frankie Carcetti working a little bit. Hello, local hero. Jack Miller fastest.
Hey, 128.281.
He was out yesterday he did like a bit of a biker parade, didn't he? Sort of led it down.
And Casey, yeah, a few of the local legends out there and some of the MotoGP boys. The charity events going on across the weekend, aren't there, which is great to see.
Looked like fun. Every time I saw it, Jack seemed to be doing a burnout. There can't have been much of whatever rear tyre was in that R1 he was riding. Must have been pretty close to popping.
Well, I'll tell you what, it kept his powder dry in that session to just pop that one out at the end, Michael.
Yeah, he's got the soft front, medium rear end. I'm not sure if it was a brand new set of tyres. I would guess so, to be able to do a 28.2 at this stage in the weekend, but very promising from the Yamaha. Looking good as well with Quartararo jumping up into the top 5 last time around. He's looking strong, and for Jack at home, he'll want to perform, and he has been close. He's not had the luck on race day of late, but he has been close in terms of his pace and feeling with the bike over the last few rounds.
There's the boss, Paolo Campianotti, Pramac boss. We're very happy with that.
So at the end of the session, Miller, Alex Marquez, Acosta, Aldeguer, Quartararo, Bezzecchi, Bagnaia, Zarco, Di Giannantonio, into the top 10. Raul Fernandez, Mia, Marini, Morbidelli, Bastianini, Paul Espargaro, Rins, Oliveira, Salvadori, Chantra, Pirro, and Aguirre. Let's head downstairs then for the ceremony with the practice start session.
Yamaha flag in 5th, then Bezzecchi in 6th, Bagnaia in 7th, and I'm sure that Pecco will be happy with that, to know that he's got hold of the bike.
Yeah,
rather than the other way.
Yeah, absolutely. He's quarter of a second off. That's no big deal. Give his he's practiced some starts now, but then obviously do his debrief and hopefully be in the mix to have a chance to fight for the win, not battle for last.
Just need to have, even though we haven't got our
There we go. This is that moment. Sorry, just so.
No, it's all
right. So I think Oliveira's like on the normal line there, but at this point where he should accelerate, I guess, he's not done, has he? He's almost not aware that it's happening. Got a nice experience.
Rear tyre always bests front in that scenario. Alex was just assuming he was about to open the throttle, didn't at the same moment as he did in the as he contacted Sood. Luckily he stayed upright. He was frustrated. You can see him immediately waving at Miguel into turn 2.
Yeah, so even though we haven't got our Wincy Willis with us in the form of Sylvain Guintoli. We need to talk about the weather because it's Phillip Island and it's so changeable. We've had a dry session here, which is good to get one under our belt at least. There has been talk about massive 70-mile-an-hour gusting winds on Sunday. I mean, if they're going to materialise, they're not going to be able to race in that. No. So there was, you know, some talk about perhaps having the main race tomorrow. As the day unfolds today, we'll get more information on that. It's so... Talk about 4 seasons in a day. It's 4 seasons in an hour.
It is.
At Phillip Island.
It's like the Isle of Man. It is really similar to the Isle of Man, how it just changes really quickly. Yeah, it's tough.
And on top of the things that you have to think about for this circuit, which is treacherous anyway and fantastic, all rolled into one, to have to think about the weather and, you know, possible wallaby going across your path. There's plenty for them to be focused on, isn't there?
Yeah, it's the wind that is the one that, obviously, wet, dry, riders are used to adapting to it. It is what it is. But the wind is unique here. Michael mentioned it in one of the other commentary sessions. This is one of the tracks, if you've raced here a few times, that you're in a situation, you're in a practice session or you're in a race, which is worse, where you're going down a straight with quite a lot of lean angle because the wind is so strong, so violent. I raced here a long time ago and you couldn't even go full throttle down the straight because it was taking the weight off the front of the bike and it was blowing you across the track. It was crazy.
It's weird to think that the fairing is acting almost like a sail.
Yeah.
Yeah, the side on, obviously there's quite a bit of, especially with the aero wings as well, they do get interrupted by the wind now. And I've been around here before where it's just so hard to get to full gas. So yeah, if these forecasted winds do pick up on Sunday, I think the decision may well be taken out of their hands. They will have to switch the feature race till Saturday afternoon. It was the right decision to make a couple of years ago, and it could well be the right decision to make again this weekend.
You'll be able to see with these starts if there's a side wind, you'll see the riders drifting one way or the other or losing their body to try and keep the bikes pointed in a straight line.
But I think it's not too bad today, the wind, is it?
It's still a bit blustery, isn't it? Not as bad as it's supposed to be on Sunday.
No, not extreme.
No.
Just what you would expect here, really. So what have we learned today? We've learned that the factory Ducati boys respect each other, that Neil and I struggle to get to the bar.
I get to the bar.
And we've learned that Pecco Bagnaia has some confidence in the bike this weekend.
Yeah, Pecco's back on form here.
We tried something.
Certainly evaluated something in those early laps and made it work for him. He's right in touch. Quarter of a second away, that's exactly where he needs to be. The Yamahas are looking good with Quartararo and Miller up in the leaderboards.
Now, what about Miller? Was that a one lap, or can we see him put it together now?
Well, it's a rider's circuit. And what does that mean? Well, a rider can make the difference around this track. That's what we've seen. It's not like a Motegi race circuit where you've got slow 180-degree corner and then you press your ride-out device, full throttle, braking zone, basically copy-paste. This track is all about these fast-flowing corners. If you're confident, if you're prepared to risk a bit more, you can make a difference. So Jack's always been fast around here. He's not had any luck. So Jack could quite easily be in the mix for the fight, for the win.
I always think that no wins are ever gifted in MotoGP, but this is the one track where there really aren't. And you really can make the difference as a rider. Is that fair? Is that a fair comment?
It really is, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah, it's an old school rider's racetrack, isn't it? You do need your bike to work for you, obviously, to give you that feedback. How big the rear disc is on Jack's bike, obviously he likes a lot of rear brake control and action. But yeah, around here, we hope that Jack can be able to perform in front of his home crowd. I know the rear is on that machine of Pecco Bagnaia, which is part and parcel of the changes for the GP25 over the 24, how much lower the rear lowering device gets the machine.
Look at the aero on that bike. every time I'm in pit lane, I'm always drawn to the Aprilia.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It really is. It really is, and it looks even better in real life. I catch myself just literally starting from the rear and working my way to the front, just trying to work out what everything's doing. Very impressive. Good job, Anthony.
Yeah, it looks such a good bike on track at the moment. How it stops, turns, does everything that you want from a machine. Still a little nervous at times in the braking zone, but as we often get some good info from Paolo Bonora, he's very open with his comments on the feedback, what they're still working on. But this should be a track that will work well for Bezzecchi and Aprilia.
But with the budget that they've got, as opposed to the might of some of the other factories, you have to say that they have been phenomenal this year.
Yeah, and also if you think they lost Romano Albeziano to Honda this year, or at the end of last year, and you'd have thought there would have been a knock-on effect of that, but there's not. So they've got Stellacchini, haven't they? And he's done a, that's right, yeah. And he's done a obviously he's done a really good job. Obviously he's a original Ducati background and worked at KTM. So, but yeah, budgets-wise, I tell you what, it'd be interesting. You'd never find it out. Just if you could look at each manufacturer's budget, what they've spent.
Well, and how it equates to tenths of seconds. That's how you break it down, really.
Yeah, you evaluate the value of it. Let's say the cost of a full test team, a full factory test team. So there's a lot of cost attached to that. And the amount of what they test and what that gains. Say, what a team would pay for 2 tenths. You know, what would a team pay for 2 tenths?
Yeah.
Would they pay?
And they can break it down.
Would they pay 20 million? I think they would.
Yeah.
Because that's the difference between winning and losing, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not, an endless pot of money, is it? So it would be interesting to be able to break it down. I know that is exactly what Formula One teams do. They can tell where they're going to finish in the championship by their budget, which is a bit sad in a way. And I don't think it's the same situation here. No. Because I still think the rider can make more of a difference.
Absolutely. Because obviously the way a rider uses his body. And
I wonder how he'll fare across the weekend, Michael, in terms of physical fitness, and whether the adrenaline will drive him through. I guess it just depends just how dodgy he's feeling.
Yeah, the physical nature of this track is something that needs to be considered. Obviously, the fact that he's got the double long lap penalty in Sunday's race, which may happen tomorrow afternoon, it will be tough. It is a tough track, but his bike this morning looks settled. And if they can get it settled and turning and get him comfortable and the adrenaline does kick in, which we know that's the strongest painkiller on earth, Bezzecchi could still be a factor in terms of the podium battle on the main race. Sprint as well.
Not his best start. It looks slow, doesn't it?
I think it was 30 frames per second.
Such a dad. You're such a dad with your humour.
Here I am. I'm here all weekend as well.
I know, you're here all year.
And we're all sharing apartments, so every night.
Hey!
Every night.
Oh,
you're not going to get
like
me soon.
Big Brother. Honestly, where we stay, we all stay in these apartments. We share apartments together.
It's Gav walking around in his undies that's wrong, isn't it? It's just wrong. Anyway, it's good to see Y-fronts are still made. I didn't know they still made them old school Y-fronts. But
some people pay good money for those chewing gum coloured Y-fronts.
Full retro.
They are the originals. It's not like that in our apartments.
Yeah, your apartment sounds more civilised than mine.
Well, I'm in the girls' apartment, so it's me and Nat and Alana.
I've got stuck with jet-lag Michael and jet-lag Gav walking around at all hours. Lights on, lights off. All right, well done, lads.
I felt bad at 4 a.m. this morning when I did get up. I was thinking of you next door, trying to be as quiet as possible, but not always possible.
Yeah, that's what happens when you put 4 races in Asia across 5 weeks, and obviously people with families, and this is across the paddock as well, need to go home and see their kids and come back again. It's it's tiring, but obviously a privilege at the same time. Jack's gone
massively. Well, there we go then, folks. That's the end of the first section of the weekend here from the Phillip Island circuit. It's Jack Miller, home hero, on top. Join us later at 5 a.m. British summer time for all the action from the Australian Grand Prix. We'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.